Triple transfer bombshell. Bruno Guimarães, Morgan Rogers and Vinícius Júnior to Arsenal. Ladies and gentlemen, Gunners around the world, this could be one of the biggest transfer stories Arsenal fans have seen in years. Welcome back to Arsenal Daily Talk, your #1 destination for the latest Arsenal transfer news, breaking updates, match analysis and everything happening at the Emirates. If you love Arsenal as much as we do, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications and let's dive straight into today's massive Arsenal news. Come on, you Gunners! Reports continue to link Arsenal with Bruno Guimarães, Morgan Rogers and even Vinícius Júnior. While the situations differ in how advanced they are, they have sparked huge debate among supporters. If Arsenal were somehow able to strengthen with players of this quality, Mikel Arteta's squad would take another significant step forward in its ambition to compete for every major trophy. But how realistic are these stories? Which move has the strongest foundation? And what would these players bring to the Emirates? Let's begin with the player many fans believe could transform Arsenal's midfield. Bruno Guimarães, Arsenal's midfield dream. For several transfer windows, Bruno Guimarães has been among the midfielders most admired by Arsenal supporters. The Brazilian international has established himself as one of the Premier League's most complete midfielders. He combines defensive intensity, intelligent passing, leadership and creativity, qualities that fit perfectly into Arteta's tactical system. Reports suggest Arsenal continue to admire Bruno, although Newcastle remain determined to keep one of their most important players. Negotiations for a player of his calibre would be extremely challenging. Supporters believe Bruno could give Arsenal greater control in the biggest matches, adding experience and composure in midfield. Imagine a midfield featuring Martin Odegaard alongside Bruno Guimarães. Arsenal would have exceptional technical quality and the ability to dominate possession against Europe's strongest teams. Bruno is also admired for his winning mentality. He never stops working, presses aggressively, and constantly drives his teammates forward. These are exactly the characteristics Arteta has been building throughout his squad. Why Arsenal continue to monitor Bruno? Arsenal's ambition is clear. Competing for the Premier League alone is no longer enough. The club wants to challenge seriously for the UEFA Champions League, domestic cups, and remain among Europe's elite season after season. To achieve that, Arsenal need depth, not just quality in the starting 11. Bruno represents the type of experienced leader capable of raising the standard across the entire squad. If Newcastle were ever willing to negotiate, Arsenal would almost certainly examine the opportunity carefully. However, at this stage there is no confirmed agreement, and Newcastle are expected to fight hard to retain him. Fans are dreaming. Across social media, Arsenal supporters continue debating what Bruno could bring to the Emirates. Some believe he would instantly become one of the Premier League's best midfielders in Arsenal colours. Others think he is exactly the player capable of helping Arsenal finally get over the line in the biggest competitions. Whether or not a transfer eventually happens, one thing is certain. Bruno Guimarães remains one of the most exciting names linked with Arsenal, and if there is any genuine opportunity to sign him, Arsenal supporters will be watching every update closely. But Gunners, that's only the beginning. Because another sensational story is gathering momentum. A young Premier League star whose rise has been impossible to ignore. Morgan Rogers. Could Arsenal be preparing a major move for one of England's brightest attacking talents? We'll break down everything in part 2. Don't miss it. And if you're enjoying today's transfer special, subscribe to Arsenal Daily Talk, leave a like and tell us in the comments. Would you sign Bruno Guimarães if Arsenal had the chance? Morgan Rogers to Arsenal, the next superstar Arteta wants. Welcome back, Gunners. We've already discussed why Bruno Guimarães could transform Arsenal's midfield, but now it's time to focus on another player who has generated enormous excitement among Arsenal supporters. His name is Morgan Rogers. Over the last season, Rogers has become one of the Premier League's fastest-rising attacking talents. His powerful dribbling, creativity and ability to play across multiple attacking positions have made him one of England's most talked-about young players. It's no surprise that Arsenal have been linked with him. Why Morgan Rogers fits. Arteta's Arsenal. Mikel Arteta values players who are versatile, technically gifted, and fearless in one-on-one situations. Morgan Rogers checks many of those boxes. He can operate on either wing, as an attacking midfielder or behind the striker. His physical strength allows him to hold off defenders, while his pace makes him dangerous on the counter-attack. Imagine Rogers linking up with Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard, Gabriel Martinelli, and Declan Rice. Arsenal's attack would become even more unpredictable. At just 23 years old, Rogers also fits Arsenal's long-term recruitment strategy of signing players who can develop into world-class stars. Can Arsenal actually sign him? This is where things become difficult. His current club sees him as a key player and would be expected to demand a very high transfer fee. Any negotiations would likely be lengthy and complex. At the moment, there is no confirmed agreement between Arsenal and Morgan Rogers. The transfer speculation reflects reported interest rather than a completed deal. Still, Arsenal have shown in recent years that when Arteta and the recruitment team identify a priority target, they are willing to be patient if they believe the player is the right fit. What would Rogers bring? If Arsenal were able to complete this signing, Rogers could provide more creativity in the final third, greater squad depth across multiple attacking positions, increased competition for places, a long-term investment with significant potential. His direct running and confidence on the ball would give Arsenal another weapon against teams that defend deep. Fans are divided. Arsenal supporters are excited by the possibility of signing Rogers, believing he could become one of the Premier League's next elite attackers. Others question whether the reported transfer fee would represent good value, arguing that Arsenal should prioritise strengthening other positions first. It's a debate that has split opinion, but almost everyone agrees Rogers has an enormous future ahead of him. The biggest bombshell is still to come. Bruno Guimarães would strengthen the midfield. Morgan Rogers would add another dynamic attacker. But what if Arsenal somehow pulled off one of the most astonishing transfers in football history, a move for Vinícius Júnior? Could Arsenal really tempt one of the world's best forwards away from Real Madrid, or is this simply one of the biggest rumours of the summer? That's exactly what we'll analyse in part 3. Before you go, let us know in the comments. If Arsenal could sign only one player this summer, Bruno Guimarães or Morgan Rogers, which one would you choose and why? If you're enjoying this transfer special, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Arsenal Daily Talk and turn on notifications so you never miss another Arsenal breaking news update. Come on, you Gunners! Vinícius Júnior to Arsenal, the transfer that could shock world football. Welcome back, Gunners. We've already explored the reported interest in Bruno Guimarães and Morgan Rogers. Now we arrive at the headline that has set social media on fire. Vinícius Júnior to Arsenal? At first glance, it sounds almost impossible. After all, Vinícius is regarded as one of the world's elite forwards and has been a cornerstone of Real Madrid's attack. But football has taught us one thing. When uncertainty surrounds a top player, Europe's biggest clubs always pay attention. Recent speculation has suggested that Arsenal are among the clubs monitoring his situation. However, it's important to note that there is currently no confirmed agreement or advanced negotiations for Vinícius Júnior to join Arsenal. At this stage, the story remains speculation, and any deal would be extremely difficult. Why would Arsenal be interested? If a player of Vinícius's quality ever became genuinely available, almost every major club would be interested. His pace is electric. His dribbling is among the best in world football. He creates chances, scores crucial goals, and has already performed on the biggest stages. For Mikel Arteta, adding a player with those qualities would instantly elevate Arsenal's attack. Imagine a front line featuring Bukayo Saka on the right, Vinícius Júnior on the left, Kai Havertz or another striker through the middle. That would be one of the most dangerous attacking units in Europe. The financial challenge. This is where reality comes into play. Signing Vinícius would almost certainly require one of the biggest transfer fees in football history, along with enormous wages. Only a handful of clubs could realistically finance such a move. Even if Arsenal admired the player, completing a transfer would depend on many factors beyond the club's control. That is why fans should view this as a rumour rather than an imminent transfer. What would this mean for Arsenal? If Arsenal somehow completed this extraordinary signing, it would send a powerful message across Europe. But remember, as things stand, these stories are at different stages. Bruno and Rodgers have been more consistently linked with Arsenal, while Vinícius remains a highly speculative rumour. Coming up in Part 4, we'll reveal Arteta's possible starting 11 with these three players, discuss how Arsenal could line up against the biggest teams in England and Europe, and give our final verdict on whether this dream transfer window could become reality. Before we continue, let us know in the comments, if Arsenal could sign only one of these three players, Bruno Guimarães, Morgan Rodgers or Vinícius Júnior, who would you choose and why? If you've enjoyed today's massive transfer special, smash the like button, subscribe to Arsenal Daily Talk, turn on notifications and join our growing community of Gunners from around the world. Come on, you Gunners! It would show that Arsenal are not only competing for trophies, they are competing for the very best players in world football. The Emirates Stadium would erupt. Premier League rivals would take notice. Champions League opponents would know Arsenal mean business. But until there is credible evidence of negotiations progressing, supporters should keep expectations grounded. A dream window? Now imagine just for a moment that Arsenal somehow completed all three signings. Bruno Guimarães controlling the midfield, Morgan Rodgers adding versatility and creativity, Vinícius Júnior bringing world-class quality to the attack. It would be one of the most memorable transfer windows in Arsenal's history. Just remember, Gunners, each of these transfer stories is at a different stage. Bruno Guimarães and Morgan Rodgers have both been linked with Arsenal in various reports, while the rumours surrounding Vinícius Júnior remain much more speculative. As of now, there is no confirmed agreement or advanced negotiations for the Brazilian superstar. But just imagine for a second, if Arsenal somehow managed to pull off all three signings, it would send shockwaves across world football. It would be a statement that Arsenal are no longer just competing for trophies. They're competing for the biggest names in the game. The Emirates Stadium would be buzzing with excitement. Premier League rivals would be forced to take notice. Champions League opponents would know that Mikel Arteta's Arsenal had reached another level. A midfield led by Bruno Guimarães, the explosive versatility of Morgan Rodgers, and the world-class brilliance of Vinícius Júnior would create one of the most exciting squads in European football. It would undoubtedly rank among the greatest transfer windows in Arsenal's modern history. Of course, this remains a dream scenario for now, and supporters should wait for reliable updates before getting carried away. Transfer windows can change quickly, but rumours don't always become reality. Coming up in Part 4, we'll reveal Mikel Arteta's dream starting 11 if these three stars arrived at the Emirates. We'll also analyse how Arsenal could line up against the biggest clubs in England and Europe before giving our final verdict on this extraordinary transfer window. Before we continue, let us know in the comments. If Arsenal could sign only one of these three players, Bruno Guimarães, Morgan Rodgers or Vinícius Júnior, who would you choose and why? If you're enjoying this transfer special, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to Arsenal Daily Talk, turn on notifications and join our growing community of Gunners from around the world. Come on, you Gunners!